Hello, my friend. So I guess I'm going to start by talking about uh, how elves became a thing, I guess. We're going to go with that first. Um, so what happened was, mind you, this is a very complicated and controversial topic, so there's that to keep in mind. But I guess I'll continue anyways. Um, the a little while ago, in a different timeline from this one, of course, there was a group of humans that got together, and they just decided, since they were super bored, that they would make a new race of life. So they created elves and purplics, and since they were so rich and smart, I guess they just decided, you know what, let's do one better and just put these new life forms in like a completely different timeline. So they went back in time and put them way earlier in time than they should have. And so now, in this timeline, from the beginning of time, basically, we have different things in which, or different points in which elves are mentioned. And elves have like their own magic abilities. They have elven spells, elven magic. They have the little pointy ears, and that's all that really kind of makes them different from humans. Besides that, they have special blood or whatever. Like their blood is just better in every way. It helps them regenerate faster, all that like inside stuff that I don't really know too much about, but I believe that's how it works. Of course, that's I don't know it for sure, but can't do too much about that part. And they, with the Purplics, what they created, they put them on a different planet, and they were the smartest, most advanced. They basically took people from their time and made them so that they couldn't die very easily and were pretty much mortal, and then put them on different planets, or put them on one planet in like very far away from Earth, but really far back in time. So they basically expanded their empire, created other aliens that were less than them and less smart, all that fun stuff, and they put them on different planets. The Purplics did, and but the I guess we'll go back to the humans then. They created this other timeline. So their original timeline was just like it must have had like no magic, no nothing. Like religion was still a thing probably, but there was science. Science was like the biggest thing that was possible. Like there was one way to become powerful, and that was science or through friends. But you could either take it or you could be scientists. So I don't know. It's the normal way through the ranks or science. I'm going too far in that, but let's see. Now we have magic and all these different stuff. Science is still up there, but it's not all that powerful. It's not too helpful. I guess. Then next, I'll talk about the nuclear war. Why not? It was called the Second Nuclear, or the Second Cold War, I guess. Because everybody was waiting and watching. Are we going to be blown out of the sky, or out of the? Yeah. Are we going to be blown up or no? No, I don't know. Of course, all the rich people were gathering together, creating force fields, and they uh, it was in the time when humans were still the more dominant race, I guess. Of course, some humans knew about the other races, but most of them did not. So there were still like most of humanity didn't know that anything else was out there. So that was interesting. Surely, I wasn't there, but I would think that that would be interesting, not knowing that there was like vampires or dragons and whatnot. Like that would be just really weird, honestly. um, and yeah, all the rich people were creating these little like floating force field islands, I guess, inside of towns or whatever. If you were one of these, if you were like invited by one of these rich people, it was like a huge honor, because they were most definitely going to live through a nuclear blast. So uh, you're not only living with like a fantastic celebrity, but you're also living past the nuclear blast. So it's always nice. The other option was some humans, like whole towns or like cities and whatnot, just basically moved right underground, like huge bunkers that were just like completely underground. Like you see these now they just have like airfields or whatever that are like you house planes in and whatnot. It was basically like that, except underground and like 1,500 times bigger. It needed to like actually hold the entire city, so that's what it did. These huge bunkers just held entire cities because, like, why not, right? And so the third thing that people did was some people who were way filthy rich launched themselves into space. So there was that option. I believe all the elves and whatnot, all the other creatures and whatnot that had the ability mixed themselves in with other, all those three groups. Most of the elves, I think, launched themselves into space, though, I believe. And that's how they got to know the Purplix, which they, I believe that they, no, I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. We're just gonna, just, I don't know if they're listening right now, so they're, they're the force currently to be reckoned with. So yeah. And then afterwards, after the nuclear war, everything, one bomb hit, and then everybody's like, you know what, screw it, let's launch all of the missiles, launch all of the giant weapons from the sky, bam bam bam, and everything. The world was uninhabitable for like 100 years or so, I heard. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, but it was about that time. Some people did come up earlier and got like all sorts of sickness, but yeah, other creatures that they were like experimenting on also were created during that time, because people wanted to get to the surface as quickly as possible. But of course, it's a waiting game. You have to be patient, and some people just couldn't. So that was a turning point, I guess, if the bombs weren't. But I'd have to say that afterwards, like the little towns and like the cities, the rich people areas, they kind of were popping up all around afterwards, after everything became inhabitable again. And it was a kind of like, you stay away from our city. Like everybody was very like territorial, I guess. And then after such a while, elves and vampires and like dragons and all of the creatures that had not been known to humans before kind of like popped up. So there were all the little like vampire cities and like dragon cities. All those actually came out, and they were kind of terrifying to humans, honestly. Like you'd think that like humans would be more accepting of other creatures that are not like them, but humans are survivors. So we'd like to, I don't know, we like to keep to ourselves. We're still one of the main powers, but we're far outnumbered, as we know. So and of course, as I said, one of the powers we are. Elves are still, or elves are definitely with a giant lead, and like elven spells are hard to come by. Like anyone can use them, of course, but it's hard to get them because elves are very secretive. There's of course the after so long of a time, the elves and the humans kind of, once they figured they were both like world powers, they were like, you know what, let's go together, let's have a nice lovely alliance or whatever, and we can hash this out, right? And so what happened out of that was the elves, the elven tribe that did this was because there's seven elven tribes. The knowledge elves did that. So there's the giant library for elven knowledge, and any of their alliances can go to this library. So if you're basically a vampire, which elves absolutely hate, so you can't go to the library, but humans and dragons can also, because dragons are the third world power. Dragons, in case you were unsure, because you know what elves are by now, and humans. Dragons are, they have both a dragon form and a human form that they can shapeshift into, I guess, in a way. And they have the ability to breathe whatever type of dragon they are. So fire dragon, ice dragon, lava dragon, all that type of stuff. Fire, I believe I said. Water, all that. There's a cement dragon even. Quick drying cement. It cements you. It dries really, really quickly, like faster than you'd think. But it's like ice, basically. Where it doesn't like necessarily destroy you because it's going at such a force, but it actually like surrounds you and makes you unable to move. So that's helpful. Yeah, but yeah, as you can understand, dragons are a world's domination, or world power. That's the one. And the only like downside to the dragons is that they don't have the biggest population. So they have like a little island or a little city, or I guess it's more of like a giant city that they just keep to themselves on, and they call it Dragon Island because before the I don't know what it's called, the nuclear war that happened. Before that happened, they had an actual island off the coast of the Atlantic, or off the coast of North America, called Dragon Island, and they, for whatever reason, lived there, just away from everyone else. But yeah, so those are the world powers. There are like other people that live less. There are other races that were different, but not as powerful, obviously. There's many other creatures, many other races. I guess I'll leave it off there. If anybody wants to hear more about like certain races, or you want to hear like a certain like story other than what I've just shared, I'm glad to keep talking about it. But I think that'll wrap up this one. If you enjoyed, hit the like button. If you really loved it, then feel free to subscribe. But I'll send my next note soon. Goodbye.